Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video I will be doing my North Melbourne 2024 team preview, going through who I think is going to be a fantasy impact this year. They will have a lot of fantasy relevance this year with their half-back role as well as their midfield, and see how that makes up as the two general high-scoring positions for AFL fantasy. They have a load of options, and we don't know what's going to go on with them. Someone's got to go to half forward basically from that half back role. Someone's got to miss out from that midfield role, and we don't know who's going to miss out yet. So there's plenty of underpriced sort of guys that are entering their prime, and there's plenty of guys that are sort of probably overpriced at this point from their rookie year or something like that, or the point that they're not going to play the role that you think they're going to play, and they're going to drop heavily. So it'll be interesting to see. This video is probably going to become a lot of just a lot of the details about roles probably not going to be correct come the first round, but they're definitely, it's just more of an insight into how their roles can change. A lot of these guys are under the microscope for their roles, so it will be interesting to see about that. But before we get into this video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and let's get into this video. So as you can see here, I have the North Melbourne boys loaded up on the Fantasy Stats Centre here. Luke Davis Jr., Sheasel, Scott, Thomas, etc. And we go down. So the first guy we've got to mention is LDU. 14 games for a 97 last year, including, was there one injury game that he had? He didn't necessarily have an injury game, but I'd say this 66 was sort of an injury game. So if we look at this, look at his fantasy profile here, you'll see that he's only priced at 97 and 879k. And if he stays fit, he'll be able to beat that by 10 to 15. It's just staying fit that is the problem for him. He's had the natural progression, as you see here, that I keep on talking about, and every year it's gotten better. So you should think that he would improve, etc., as he is only going to be 25 this year, so he still does have many years left in him. And if we do look at his actual splits and his sort of work, you'll see that 1364 minus the 66 that he had there, divide that by 13. He averaged 99.8 if you take that 66 injury game out. And then also I think he was a little bit lighter on this 63 here as well. You could almost take that out as well. So I'll do that calculation here. Minus the 63, divide that by 12, and he averages, injury-free, he averages 103. So there is that to talk about, that he is potentially just injury-free. He's already 6 points of upside, and he does have the role that you like at the North Melbourne Footy Club of 81% CBAs, which is one of the highest there. I've seen in my research a couple of higher ones. I mean, Jai Simpkin, 83 last year. Could we see LDU, well, that was an injury for 70. Could we see LDU push 85? I reckon he could, given that you see these numbers 72 and also a 72 here. Those could be pushed up to the high 80s. And I just really like the potential role that he has. It's just whether or not can he stay fit, because if he can stay fit, he's 10 to 15 points of upside. And so, yes. If you look at it, he's really grown. Obviously, I was talking about this, just looking through my notes quickly. We talked about the natural progression, but obviously we talked about his injury issues and staying on the park. 20, 21 and 14 games is in the last 3 years, when there was a potential 67 games to have only played 55 is a little bit worrying. But I mean, that was 1 year of basically injuries, an injury-riddled season in 2023. If he gets the full off-season, etc., full pre-season, I reckon he'll be back fit and firing, and he does have that predominant midfield role, and he will be the number one midfielder, I reckon, next year at the North Melbourne Footy Club. The next guy we're going to talk about is the Rookie of the Year, Harry Sheasel. What a year that was from him. If I just change this over from LDU to Harry Sheasel. Where is he? He is here. There we go. 23 games, 97 from Harry Sheasel. So you're probably thinking, natural progression, he should be able to go up. Where is he? Here he is. He should be able to go up to a 105. And the only, I say that is possible, but the only problem I have with this is, one, he has a couple of tag games, which does show that he could average 100 if you take out that 47 and also this 53. But one thing I will say is that they brought in Zach Fisher to play that half-back role. Colby McKercher will be playing off halfback from what I've heard. Where does Harry Sheezel fit into that half-back line if they've got to have Luke McDonald in there, plus the Talls or Combin and stuff like that? There isn't really that next defender available for Harry Sheezel. So I reckon he could actually be pushed more into this midfield forward role, which will be awkward for his price and his average. And I reckon I'm not going to touch him until we know in pre-season that he will be playing down back full-time. Because if he isn't playing down back full-time, I am worried that he could be a big trap this year, as he was played down back to get him settled into the AFL. And he could progress into a different role with different fantasy average parameters. So I'm too worried that his price, what is he priced at? Let's just check here. He's priced at $8.78. I am more worried about him in his role rather than young Wanganeen Malira, Nick Dacos, Jaden Short, even talking about Dan Houston. I'm more set in stone about them than I am about Harry Sheezel, and that's why I just want to stay clear of him for the moment, let him pass, and let's just watch and see what he does. And if he does get that full-time backline role, then I will look at him, but also I don't know if there's too much upside. There may be 8 or so points of upside, but I don't think there's too much upside comparatively to the other defenders who have more 15 or so points of upside. So that is my Harry Sheezel thoughts, and I know a lot of people will probably disagree with that, but that's just, I'm more cautious with him than sort of optimistic, I guess you'd say. More pessimistic than optimistic with Harry Sheezel. Next guy we've got to talk about is Jai Simcombe, and this is solely just because of how shocking last year was for him. 76 average. If we flick over the things here to show, you will see what I mean by this in just a couple seconds now. He averaged last year 95.5, which was the same as the year before of 95.5, and in the 70.8 of the COVID season, if you do the numbers, that goes up to an 88.5. I don't have it here on my notes, but he only averaged 76 in 2023, which is well down. He's also had some injury concerns. As you can see, he's played relatively the amount of games, so I'm not saying at, 26 years old, that he's an injury threat. I mean, he's still played, he's only missed 9, 10, 15, 16. He's only missed 20 potential games, it looks like. So 20 potential games across 6 years, 3 a game, isn't the worst considering he's had some bad injuries. As well as this 48 here, I believe, is a very, very injury-affected game. Let me just look at that. That 48 is injury-affected as well. So you got to look at that. And did he have any other injury-affected games? He had a 7 as well and a 23 as well. So if you take those aside, if you take those into effect here, 18 games at 75.8 is a 1,365 minus the 48 minus the 7 and minus the, didn't he have a 23 as well? And then divide that by 15. If you take all of those injured games out, he's already 10 points of upside. So just looking at that, 10 points of upside for Jai Simcombe when he could potentially go and average 95 again is interesting. The only problem I have with that is looking at his role. 60% CBAs in 2023. This is already down 83. And if you actually look at it, at 60%, and what did we say? And I'll have to do the numbers again. 18 games for 60%. If you take out a 21, a 20, and a 26, so 18 times 60 is 1,080%, minus a 21, minus a 20, and minus a 26, and divide that by 15. So his natural CBAs were 67, which is still down on his year last year by 16%, I believe it was. Last year he averaged 83%, and the year before that he averaged 79. So it's still down 10 to 12%, and they do have Phillips, LDU, Karen Thomas, Wardlaw, Hugh Greenwood as well in there, and then Wardlaw should take the step up, you've got to expect, and especially if you look at these numbers here, look at Jai Simcombe when Wardlaw's in there, look at Jai Simcombe's numbers, Where is he? Jai Simpkin here. Look at those numbers when Wardlaw's in there. They're pretty awkward, a little bit. So that is interesting. 30 and 44. So just watch and wait on that one, I guess. With Jai Simpkin, I'm a little bit worried that his numbers could be impacted, as well as McKercher coming in could impact him even more. So there's that issue as well. So Simpkin presents a lot of value, but we've got to look at his CBA splits in pre-season to warrant his selection, I guess, as if he's only playing 55-60% CBAs and is down even further on his 2023 uninjury affected with taking out injuries, his CBA number of 67.5, did I just say 67.5%? Then if he's down on that even further in the preseason and it's not like rotation based or something like that, if it is well down, then I am worried about his role and I don't think he could score that well. So there's that for Jai Simpkin, and that basically sums up what I have for him. So he does present value as he is injury affected and stuff like that, which is about 10%, 10 points and like 7% CBAs. But I'm worried about how the new young midfielders that they keep on drafting year on year will impact them, and how he may be one of the ones that just takes a hit. I mean, admittedly, you do have Cunnington, that did take a lot of the time off of, not really actually off of Jai Simpkin. So that's an interesting one. We'll just see how they work, as they do have a lot of outgoings, a lot of incomings, etc., and how that works. But I'm just a little bit skeptical of Jai Simpkin, to be honest with you. And then the next guy we're going to talk about is Zach Fisher. He was brought into North Melbourne to play that half-back role. He is not brought in to play a half-forward role. That is not why he wanted to come to North Melbourne. And so for that reason alone, I reckon he's a good buy, because he's got that forward status. He's got forward status, average of 69. And then when you actually play him as a forward, he averages in the 80s. When you play him as a defender, he averages in the 80s. Look at that. 47 in round 12 as well. I want to look at that and see if that is injury affected. As we are looking at Fisher. Where is he? He's up somewhere here. Zach Fisher, 2023. Look at his numbers. That game, 77, wasn't injury affected. That was just him playing. But that was him playing as a half forward. If you look at all those half forward games, you can just see he doesn't play as well fantasy wise. So that'll be an interesting look. But he is plus 11 or plus 12 as a defender basically. And at North, he should get more of the ball. So I reckon he could go plus 15, plus 20 on his average. And that would put him in uncharted territory, I guess. As you can see here, he's basically playing at his best. But these were half-forward numbers, and at the North Melbourne, he should be playing a lot better, as he'll have the pill more, and he could cause Harry Sheezel to go to that mid-forward role that he was drafted as. So it'll be interesting to see the look of this, but I reckon he is one of the buys of the year at 627k, was it 623, 627, somewhere around there. 623k, I reckon he is one of the buys of the season, and he'll play that full half-back role, and I reckon he will average 85, to be honest with you, which is plus 16. And as a forward, that's almost top 6 forward potential. And as a mid-pricer, that'll be huge cash gen. That will be potentially somewhere close to 150k of cash gen, which will be interesting to see. And then one of the last guys, well, no, actually not one of the last guys. I still got 2 other guys after this guy, is the Jerry Island, as some people would put him as. This guy is an interesting specimen, to be honest with you. Interesting fantasy-wise. So it'll be obviously will be weird to see him play full-time ruck after seeing Goldstein at North for so long. Played 15% time on ground in round 1 for a 26. So when you take that game itself just out of his system, if we actually move it down to Tristan Sherry, where is he? Here he is. There we go. 9 games of 66. Is 594 minus the 26 that he had, divide that by 8, and you already get a 71. So he's already 5 points of upside if you just take his injury game out of it. And you can see these were the 2 games he played without Goldstein. That is 92 average across those 2 games. So that is really, really good. And that would be a potential 26 points of upside, which 26 points of upside times by the times by the magic number at the moment, that's potentially somewhere close to 220, 230k of cash gen potential if he goes to that 92 ruckman, which we've seen sort of what he can do. I reckon he's more going to sit around that 88 range, and 88 on his average is around 22 times the magic number. So he's going to probably, I reckon, sit around 200k of cash gen, and 200k of cash gen, if you look at him plus the R3 that we're most likely going to have, it looks like there is a potential for getting him around the buys up to an English or Marshall, which will be an interesting thing to look at. And so yeah, 20 to 25 points of upside looking at him. And he's priced at 64. If you actually look at it, priced at 64.2, I forgot to factor that in. Priced at 64.2, if he goes at 92, that is 27.8 points of upside, which if you look at the magic number, that's 250k. If you look at what I said, what did I say? 88, did I say? 88, that is 23.8 points of upside times by the magic number. That already is another 15k of upside. So yeah, I'm just really looking forward to seeing what he puts up. Is if he puts up a really big score in round one, and in pre-season, he could be on here. And he is only 25, going to be 25. So he's starting to get to that point where he is like turning into his prime, and we'll see what he puts up. But he's an interesting one to go a little bit cheap on in the... but you will have to have a guy that you're ready to sacrifice in case he goes down again. So there's that as well. But definitely an interesting one is Jerry. Wardlaw is the next guy I want to talk about or touch on. If we look at George Wardlaw, 8 games for 65, so he is priced at 61. If you take out his injury games of a 31, a 32, and well, that's 79 as well. I think he got subbed off there. He might have got injured in that, but that was still a really good score there and shows that he can score. But if you take out the 31 and the 32 from his 8 games for 65, if we move him to... If we go over to George Wardlaw here, 8 games of 65, did I say? I'm pretty sure it was. 8 games of 65, so 8 times 65 is 520, minus the 30, minus 63 in total, and divide that by 6. You've already got 76.16, which is plus 15 of what he averaged last year. I reckon he could be an 80 guy, and an 80 guy priced at 61, you're getting to the point where he actually is massive upside. We've seen he can do run in that midfield. Look at his numbers, 48% CBAs, and I reckon he could take over from Cunnington, who you see basically here, 48-62 when they played together, so it will be interesting to see his role, but I think he could be a 55 or 60% midfield time, and he could be the type of guy that I use to run with in that M5 role if I don't go a premium. And he is potentially the one that, if I do not go for Jerry and I go for like a Marshall or someone up there, then I will potentially go probably Wardlaw, because I see a lot of value there. The only question is, can you trust a second-year player coming off some injuries himself and being a little bit discounted over a guy that has been heavily discounted from injuries and stuff like that? And I don't know what you want as a trade-off, because Wardlaw looks like a star. I just don't know if this is his year or if it's going to be next year. And that's the thing. He's going to break out to a 100-point per game guy. It's just whether, is he going to take a big leap this year and go 85, 90? Or is he going to go to that 75 and then jump 25 points next year to be that big guy next year? And we'll just have to wait and see, I guess. Then the last guy we're going to talk about is Colby McKercher, and I guess he is priced here down at 297k, but he could be easily alongside Sanders as the best fantasy prospect out of this draft. He's been touted to play the halfback role, as some people have said. I think the coaches might have said in preseason as well. Priced at 297, which is 32.8 points per game, so break even of 33, he should easily clear that, and I reckon he'll average 75 points per game or somewhere around there, similar to what Ashcroft did last year. Obviously different role, but sort of a similar output there, so you can see similar jumps in price. He did average 116 points per game at the under-18 Carnivals for the Allies, off of 32 touches and 6 marks per game. But that pretty much wraps up this video. A little bit shorter of an actual recap in essence, I guess, compared to what we've seen. I've seen, well, what have we had, 22, 24, 26 minutes, somewhere around there for most of the team, so a little bit shorter this one. But we got through a lot of their guys, got through, what did we get through in the end? Just looking down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys we got through in the end, talking through, and just a nice 20-minute video for the North Melbourne. And I guess I'll see you guys tomorrow, but this will be recorded right after for the Melbourne review. Then you'll have Melbourne, Hawthorn, etc., and going all the way up to Freo by the 13th. That will be recorded early, and then you have the other guys, which I'll do my reviews on. We'll do my data collection, and they will be out, and we'll finish up with the Adelaide Pros on the 18th. But anyway, that is the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.